Major Supreme Court ruling today. The Supreme Court, in a 5-4 vote, ruled that union members, public union members, could not be forced to pay dues of those unions. Now, this decision could impact 5 million plus public workers around the country. They said that forcing a member to pay dues if they didn't want to was a violation of the First Amendment. This reverses a ruling that has been on the books since 1977. Many are saying that this is going to cripple the effort of some unions to get involved in politics and throw their influence around. Fox's Rich Dennison has the full story. Rich?
Today's Supreme Court ruling delivering a big setback to organized labor. The justices ruling that public sector employees cannot be forced to pay fees to unions that represent them in collective bargaining. The 5-4 decision was authored by Justice Samuel Alito, who wrote, "This procedure violates the First Amendment and cannot continue." The plaintiff in the case, Illinois state government worker Mark Janis, says he's thrilled by the ruling.
The important thing is that we've now got 5 million public sector workers across the country that can now are free to make their own decision. And that's what this whole fight has been about.
President Trump tweeting, "Big loss for the coffers of the Democrats." Meanwhile, the Democratic National Committee issuing a statement saying today's decision is nothing more than blatant and disgraceful union busting that could slam the door on millions of hardworking Americans trying to make it into and stay in the middle class.
It potentially dries up a very rich well of support, mainly for Democrats, because these obviously the leadership of these unions tends to be much more left-leaning than the rank and file do, and as a result, it's a nice treasure chest for them that they may not have the benefit of anymore as time goes on.
In New York, Rich Dennison, Fox News.
All right, let's bring in the A-plus panel. Matt Rooney, editor of the Save Jersey blog, and an attorney and a Republican, and Peter Brown, Democratic councilman in Linden, New Jersey. All right, Matt, I'm going to start with you. This is, I think, one of the biggest decisions, certainly since I've been following politics, impacts millions of people, tens if not hundreds of millions of dollars that have been spent by these special interest unions on campaigns for decades. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, just about anything that's going wrong in New Jersey, whether it be our messed up school funding formula, whether it be our pension crisis, all comes back to the power of these unions. Now suddenly we have a decision that says that if you don't want to be a part of one of those unions as a public worker, you don't have to give them your money. It changes everything.
As a Democrat, does this hurt Governor Murphy? I mean, the guy's going to have to stand for re-election in 2021. The unions are a big part of why he won this time, other than Christie fatigue. But the money, could it dry up? Do you think a lot of people are going to just opt out?
Absolutely. I think a lot of people are going to opt out, you know. I mean, listen, we grew up with the belief that unions are on your side, they're good for you and everything else like this. So now the unions have to go back to the drawing board and basically tell people what is the benefit of one joining a union. Now, at the same time, they don't have that guaranteed money coming in like they used to. So, of course, it's going to dry up money that they can use for other campaigns.
Town? What do you think is going to happen in Linden?
Oh, I think definitely
people grumble about the dues?
People do, you know, and it's explained to them that they have to pay. I think now people are just going to opt out for a little bit of extra money in their paycheck.
Matt, is this now the first time? I tweeted about this morning because I talked about when before the decision was handed down on the radio this morning, that if it goes this way and they rule in favor of Janis, that it not only dries up the political money, but it really changes the influence the NJEA and the CWA have in keeping the pensions and benefits the way they are. Could you see a time where maybe the roles are reversed and the people can kind of take back the House and say we need to find contributions and not to find benefits?
Sure, because now candidates that are arguing for reform in our legislative elections, which are coming up again in 2019,
right,
now they're not going to have this aerial bombardment on their airwaves every night attacking them with union money, but they're going to do the best they can to push back. They have this Orwellian named law that they passed called the Workplace Democracy Enhancement Act.
Murphy just signed that a few months ago.
Which is going to limit their ability to be able to opt out, public workers.
How soon before a lawsuit challenges that?
I hope it's happening today.
All right, thanks, guys. Let's leave that there. There'll be more to come on this for sure. Well, that was one huge decision handed down by the court today. Another big announcement out of the Supreme Court. One of the 5 members of the Supreme Court who voted with the majority to change the rules on public workers unions decided to retire. Anthony Kennedy, who is considered one of the swing votes on the Supreme Court, announced his retirement after serving 30 years on the nation's highest court. Now, he was considered to be the swing vote, siding with the conservatives sometimes, being with the majority on upholding the ban on partial birth abortions, and then writing the majority opinion in the landmark case that legalized gay marriage across all 50 states. Now, this will be the second appointment that President Trump will be able to make on the court. You may remember after the death of Justice Antonin Scalia, President Trump, after only a few weeks in office, had the opportunity to nominate Judge Neil Gorsuch. This will be his second appointment. What will it mean for the country? What will it mean for some of the cases heading to the court? That'll be something we break down certainly over the next few months and weeks as we learn who this new justice will be.